If you have followed how to make a mallet part 2, you can now proceed to create a through mortise in which to wedge the handle. Step 1. Marking the taper on the head. Center the tapered portion of the handle on top of the head. Use a ruler to check both sides. Trace the taper of the handle onto the side of the head. Extend the lines to all sides of the head with a tri-square and a pencil. Set the scribes of a mortise gauge to the thickness of the mallet's handle. Center the scribes on the head by sight and adjust the stalk until the pierce marks from both sides are at the same point. With the scribes of the mortise gauge centered on the head, tighten the thumb screw and pierce the 2 points. Highlight them with a pencil. Proceed to scribe the thickness of the mortise between the lines marking the width of the mortise on top of the head. Highlight the scribe line with a pencil. Repeat the steps on the opposite side as well. Step 2. Preparing a guide block. Before you start chiseling out the mortise, prepare a small guide block to help maintain the angle at which the handle tapers. Cut one of the remaining sides by tracing the arm of a protractor or a sliding bevel edge set to the handle's taper. This side will help create the reference for chiseling. Saw along the line, maintaining a precise angle of the saw. The guide block will be used in the final stages of chiseling. Step 3. Chiseling the mortise. To begin with, fix the mallet head on the vise and start chiseling out the narrower opening of the mortise. You may use a mortise chisel or a bevel edge chisel like the one we used here. With the flat side of the chisel towards the wall of the mortise, leave a little extra wood at the edges for finishing. Work your way in layers from edge to edge until you have chiseled about 2 inches. Now place the guiding block at the edge of the mouth so that it follows the taper laid out for the mortise. Clamp the block securely in place. Hold the flat side of the chisel against the guide block and extend the angle into the mortise. Follow the step on the opposite wall as well. Now turn the head over to the opposite surface and repeat the same process here until the mortise runs through the other side. Leave a small amount of waste wood at the sides for finishing. Clamp the guide block in line with the tapering sides and extend the angle into the mortise. Use the flat side of a bent chisel against the wall of the mortise to ensure that they are smooth and uniform. Place the head on the vise so that the mortise runs horizontally. Use a bench chisel to pare the side facing up until it's even. Use a file for a smooth finish. Turn the piece over to the other side and repeat the steps until all the inner walls of the mortise have a consistent finish. Step 4. Finishing. The final step involves beveling the edges of the mallet head so that it doesn't chip upon impact. Use a block plane to create a bevel on the edges that run along the grain. The edges concerning the end grain can be shaped with a rasp. Use a file after the rasp for a smooth finish. Fix the mallet head sideways on the vise and wedge the handle into the head through the mortise to check the fit. You can use a mallet to apply force so that the handle is wedged in tight, but not too tight. Place the mallet on the table and mark out the desired length of the handle using a pencil and a ruler. Here we have chosen to retain 10.5 inches from the base of the head. Extend the mark to all sides using a tri-square and a pencil. Clamp the handle onto the vise and saw off the extra wood from the handle. Use a spoke shave to create a bevel or to round the edges of the handle until it is comfortable to hold. A rasp and file can be used on the edges of the end grain. You have now learnt how to make a joiner's mallet.